Hello everyone, welcome to our sports news channel. Here you are always well informed. Leave your like and thank you very much. Mazi Smith gleefully bounced through the doors at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport on Friday morning, welcomed by a member of the Dallas Cowboys Public Relations Department and attempted to put on his new team's cap for the first time as a member of the organization, wearing an ear-to-ear grin so large you could have counted each of his 32 teeth from the I-635 overpass. In that moment, he was little more than a very big kid, seeing his lifelong dream become a reality, and it's still undetermined if he actually needed an aircraft to fly into Dallas. It's entirely possible he floated all the way here on a cloud of euphoria. This is crazy. I'm in the place I wanted to be, said Smith as he settled into the luxury-laden confines of the Cowboys' official bus, i.e., Jerry Jones' wheels. This was one of the staffs that I got along with the best, and that I felt at home with, and that everything was good. This was one of those places. Smith, a first-team All-Big Ten talent in 2022 who also found himself ranked number 1 on Bruce Feldman's Freaks list, landed one of the Cowboys' coveted official 30 visits after having also met with defensive coordinator Dan Quinn and other members of the team at the 2023 NFL Combine in Indianapolis. And the final visit was one that truly focused on the familial bond of it all. In other words, at that point, the Cowboys knew Smith had the skill set to be their highest-graded defensive player on their board at number 26, but they wanted to know who he was, as a man, a son, and a community-minded human being. He passed those tests with flying colors as well, and, all told, it's another key reason head coach Mike McCarthy described Smith's selection as an early Christmas gift. Being with people who value what you do makes you want to do it better, said Smith. You can learn a lot from those people. Some of those people he's referring to is two-time first-team All-Pro pass rusher Micah Parsons, who leaped out of his chair and celebrated after seeing Smith get the nod in the first round. Why was Parsons so ecstatic, though? Well, it's because he not only understands fully what dropping a talent like Smith into the interior of the defensive line does for freeing up the matchups on the edges, but Parsons also lobbied fairly heavily to Quinn and staff to make the former Wolverine the selection. The two-time Pro Bowler and 2021 NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year, in one instance, sent a text to Quinn that simply read, "Michigan DT," hours ahead of the start of the first round. Quinn's reply, "I'm all about that life." There were literally 6 exclamation points, by the way. "Let's go, man," yelled Parsons after the pick. "I told you Dan wouldn't let me down. We're about that life." Smith was floored by the revelation that Parsons pounded the table for him, along with how thrilled Quinn was about his chances throughout the entire pre-draft process up to and after the moment his name was called by NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell. "I was like, Maz, you gotta work harder," he said while wearing what's already become his telltale smile. "I'm a hard worker, but it'll never be enough for a guy like that. So when I become part of the team, I want to make everybody happy and trust in me, make everybody proud. Those are my big brothers already, and I haven't even met them yet. I'm not gonna let them down." It doesn't hurt that he's coming into a defensive unit that's one of the best in the league in every category that matters, but also struggled in an area he excels at, making for a perfect matrimony. "I'm so excited to be around some dogs who know what it looks like and knows what it takes, so they can tell me what it takes to be great in the NFL, and what it looks like and what I need to do to be who I'm supposed to be to help this team win," said Smith. "I'll fit right in." He is champing at the bit to get his hands on offensive linemen in the NFL, truly, my belief here being based on the fact that he repeated over and over his hunger to hit somebody between hot mic moments, both during transport to the Star in Frisco and as he toured the facility, barely able to contain himself. By the time he made it to the strength and conditioning room, it was all he could do to not start slinging weights around. Instead, he was greeted by players like Osa Odigizwa and Tyler Smith, outside of the weight room, and Dante Fowler, inside of it, before leaving and, lo and behold, seeing Quinn standing in the hallway having grabbed some lunch. When the two saw each other again, now with Smith being one of Quinn's players, the energy in the air was so electric they could have charged every nearby smartphone wirelessly. It's the first time the Cowboys have used a first-round pick on a defensive tackle since Russell, Maryland in 1991, a selection that helped propel the franchise to 3 Super Bowls in its dynasty years at the front end of the Jerry Jones era. More than 30 years later, it's Smith being looked at to help the club take the next step. "I'm excited to get pointed in the right direction," he said. "To climb this big old mountain, they'll tell me where to start. I'm excited to get into the heavy-duty part of things. I'm ready to put this work in and feel what my first offensive lineman feels like in the NFL." One of the most impressive physical attributes that will likely make Smith a force in this league is his strength, and that's saying the least. It is not a stretch to compare his to that of the legendary Larry Allen, and all one needs to do is watch his Michigan workouts to prove that true. At one point with the Wolverines, the manufacturer of one of the machines was called in to add weight so Smith could reach his goal of moving 800 pounds, and he did it. When exactly did it strike him that he was born with abnormal strength, the likes of which would make Thanos rethink his approach in a bout? "I recognized I was real big early, because I kept hurting my friends," said Smith, chuckling. "I was like, let me relax. But I realized I was strong because, coming out of 8th grade and going into 9th grade, they had us lifting twice a week. They had the underclassmen who weren't in high school lifting twice a week, and I kept begging them to let me lift full-time like I was a high schooler. They finally did. I got in there and was stronger than people. I was like, damn, I'm an 8th grader and I'm just throwing weight around. I spent a lot of time in the gym and my coach would just look at me after I'd put something on the bar and say, 'You sure you can do that?' I was like, 'Yeah, I got it.' And I'd hit it and he'd just be standing there in disbelief. That's when I knew." Another way was in my freshman year, when I got moved up to varsity. I started playing against all the O-linemen that were seniors and I started pushing them around. I was like, oh, okay. We're in business. Indeed he was, and indeed the Cowboys now are, also being clear that Smith will be more than just a stationary brick wall at 1 Tech, or 0, or 2 Tech, in Dallas, those designations being determined by where he lines up opposite center. 0 Tech is nose to nose, while 1 or 2 Tech are slightly left or right of center, respectively. According to all involved, there's a bigger plan at play here.